Hey everyone, it's Gianna Lum of Vinci Crypto, where we keep you in the loop on all the latest trends and news of crypto blockchain technology. Together, we're building a crypto movement that fights for climate justice and economic empowerment. Today, we have a very special guest on our show. We have Alex. He's the co-founder of Merchify. Alex, if you want to wave hi to the camera, you can.
Hi, everyone.
I actually met Alex in person first at one of the NFT NYC events for a Cardano meetup. So we're both here in New York, and today he's going to talk about his project and the future of it and NFTs and just like how he's bringing NFTs to real life. So before we get started, Alex, I like asking all of our guests a special question first. I want to know, what's the first word that comes to mind when you hear the word crypto and why?
Word that comes to mind is hope.
Hope.
But I would say that I chose that word for a very specific reason. So not to dox myself with my age, but in the second Matrix movie, when Neo sees the architect behind the entire Matrix, there's this one particular scene that's very, very interesting, and that's why I wanted to point that out. He talks to the architect, and the architect smirks and says, "Hope is the quintessential human dilemma. It is both its greatest source of strength and its weakness." Meaning, hope without a call to action, that's dangerous, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't end up following through. You don't end up manifesting that hope into something else. At the same time, hope is what drives us, despite all the mathematical evidence otherwise, to pursue something better. So when it comes with crypto, I'm hopeful that people realize the technology that's here and they take advantage to educate themselves and give themselves a better chance for economic mobility. Because if we don't, then I just believe that history will probably repeat itself.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, hope without any actual action doesn't get anywhere, but you need some kind of plan, some kind of game plan to go with your hope. And then your chances are limitless. I like that. Very nice. All right, let's get started. So I want to know, how did you get into this? How did you get into blockchain? How did you get into the NFT space? And how did you end up co-founding Merchify?
Sure. I got into blockchain because my background was in finance and IT, and blockchain was a convergence of those two worlds. When it came out, it just immediately grabbed my attention. And me being the curious, person that I am, I just started to tinker with it and see what it was about. Try to mine, try to see what all this buzz is about and so forth. And back then, there wasn't any resources, there wasn't any blockchain information centers. What there was this thing called IRC chats, IRC channels, or just forums, and you talk with fellow nerds or IT and ask them, hey, what is this? How can I figure this out? So on and so forth, and just hope that they weren't leading you astray. But it was fun. It was exciting. It was something new. And it kind of reminded me of just, again, not to dox my age, but Napster, Kazaa, so on and so forth, right? Where you would download music from one person to another. I was like, okay, this is P2P finance. That's all it is. But it was interesting. And I wanted to learn about it. So I dove in since then. Took a little bit of a break because I started another business back then, and there was this period lull in between starting it and actually it picking up steam, and that's when I got into smart contracts, NFTs, and so on and so forth.
And then how did you end up meeting your co-founders for Merchify and getting in the NFT space for that?
So we have a Cardano meetup group here in New York. I met the co-founders at the Cardano meetup group. And since we were all, Cardano lovers, since we were all based and we were all just kind of brainstorming together, Merchify came together.
Very cool. I love that. I met some of the other people too at the meetup. Met Moto. I think there's other folks on your team too. But yeah, it's a very nice community. If you happen to be in New York City too and are part of the Cardano community, they have regular Cardano meetups for anyone else who wants to join. Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to be a Cardano aficionado. Like, I would say the Cardano community is the most welcoming community, whether it's IRL or in Twitter Spaces or any other capacity that's possible. So just come say hi.
Yeah, I've been before, and there's people who knew nothing about Cardano, but people have brought friends in who just wanted to learn more or just wanted to party with everyone else and not necessarily knew anything about Cardano, but by the end of the night, they'll know at least a little bit more, and they might still be a little skeptical, but at least they're dipping their toes in. And I think that's always nice to just bring more friends into. So can you tell me a little bit more about what Merchify is and how it brings utility to the NFT space?
Sure. So in a nutshell, Merchify helps blockchain organizations and NFT owners get merchandise for their company or their NFT itself into the real world. Right? There's two sides to the business, but that's basically a summary. And it's interesting that you say the word utility, because I actually started to really think about what that term meant, and after definition. But yeah, the first definition is the state of being useful, and the second one is useful, especially through being able to perform several functions. So that's how Merchify gives basically every NFT in the Cardano ecosystem, at least visually, a second utility, right? Which is you can now take your favorite NFT and put it onto various shirts, drinkware, coasters. And one thing that we're also doing, which is really innovative, is basically finding a way to tie your digital asset to a real asset. So you can have in the sleeve of a t-shirt, like I have on my hand right here, tap your phone to this chip, it'll actually send you to the NFT.
Whoa.
Verify that you're the owner, and that's the ultimate flex, right?
That's very cool. I didn't realize that you actually have something to scan there too. Nice. So I want to know too, what blockchains does Merchify currently support and why? Can you use any blockchain right now with their NFTs, or do you only support certain chains right now?
Now we're only on the Cardano
Okay.
block, because we had so many people in the Cardano community. We had access to so many projects in the Cardano community, and Cardano aligns with our mission of sustainability. So stake network, we were just like, we're going to start there. But as Ethereum goes to a proof of stake and other EVM chains also follow suit, we'll look into expansion. But right now it's just Cardano.
Just Cardano. Nice. You mentioned sustainability on our show here. A lot of our audience really loves sustainable blockchains. We really want to reduce our emissions and make sure that the blockchain space is as sustainable as possible. But since you are Merchify, you're creating merch, and there's been a lot of criticism of the fashion industry of a lot of waste, a lot of emissions. So I want to know, what are your goals for Merchify to improve sustainability and reduce emissions in, I guess, the fashion and merch space?
Sure. So, our goal is to increase sustainability through vertical integration and decentralized manufacturing, while aligning with the right partners that meet our criteria. So one of the options we provide to basically everyone is called Suprema Cotton. And the process it goes through, from how it's grown to how the gin is used to remove the seeds, to the yarn being spun up, to the actual clothes being manufactured, has what's called GOTS, Global Organic Textile Standard certifications. We want to offer more options like that down the road, right? With not only with respect to the cotton, pure cotton, but also recycled nylon, recycled fabrics. And just as far as partnering with the right organizations, I'll give you an example. We are providing merchandise for an event called the Rare Bloom, and it's an approach to an event. It's taking place at the Gaylord Hotel in the Colorado Rockies, October 14th and 15th. And it's basically all happening inside the hotel. It's very close to the airport as well. So because all the events, or most of the events, are happening inside of one centralized location, right? You don't have to use as much gas in Uber to get from point A to point B and so on and so forth. You just stay there. And not only, being more productive, again, that's just another way that you can partner with the right people to reduce your emissions.
Yeah, and just planning those little things to make such a big impact too, but you have to think ahead in order to do that.
Yes, on average, most of these conferences have anywhere between 500 to 1,000 attendees, right? If each one takes 2 rides right there, that's 500, no, I'm sorry, that's 1,000 to 2,000 Uber rides saved right there. And that's just on 2.
That adds up. Definitely adds up. And if you can copy that model for more conferences too, think about the larger impact in general.
Exactly. So again, it's just aligning yourselves with manufacturers, with attendees, with people that are like-minded. That's all there is. And what it takes one step at a time, but it adds up.
So in addition to sustainability too, I think there's a lot that blockchain can do to also protect workers, protect people who work in the fashion industry, and prevent just dangerous conditions for people in sweatshops. So I want to know from you being in this industry, how can blockchain be used to create more equitable working conditions for people in the fashion industry?
Sure. Blockchain can be used in the fashion industry to tie ownership, rights, credits, and authenticity and royalties to everyone involved, right? Um, One example that jumps off the top of my head right now is a company that I believe it's Volvo that uses blockchain technology to track the sourcing of its cobalt in
Hmm.
all products on a public distributed ledger. And by bringing that information onto a distributed ledger that's public, like a blockchain, it makes everybody accountable and auditable. Everything is there. So, for example, the GOTS certification that I spoke about earlier, the Global Organic Textile Standard, that all can be put on the blockchain where anyone can look up when a certification was, for example, who did the certification, what organization, so on and so forth. Everything 100% transparent. How much was the worker paid per hour?
Mm-hmm.
How many hours did he work? So on and so forth. I mean, there's no limit to this technology and how much it can actually empower, especially the workforce.
I think it'd be really cool. I don't know if it's in your plans, but if you had your clothing, if people could just scan their clothing too to see, okay, who are the people behind making all this clothing and what was every step on the way? I think if you had that on your little scanning thing on your merch, that'd be really, really cool. I think consumers like knowing that too. Where's this coming from? Who are the people behind it? And are they being treated fairly?
That sounds really cool, Gianna. I'm gonna run it past everybody.
Okay. Just an idea, but I think that that could be the future of clothing, and I think that's something people will be really, really interested in.
Definitely.
And I think it also supports craftsmanship and it supports just everyone along the supply chain.
Absolutely.
So I want to know too. I think there's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, we all wear clothes for the most part, so we're gonna need clothes for the future, way, way, way into the future. So I want to know, what are your plans for maybe the next 5 years, and how do you plan to reach those goals, and how can our community help you reach those goals?
Sure. So, in terms of merchandise, obviously expanding our product lineup is in the roadmap.
Hmm.
Options for customizations as well. So, as of now, we don't really do couture, for example, or anything like that. It has to be sort of off the rack or pre-manufactured stuff that we can actually add logos, add NFTs, or add content onto. But we're gradually transitioning into something a little bit more interesting, where maybe we can do fitted clothing. We can also do custom clothing. For example, we might be offering bomber jackets soon.
Oh,
Yeah, so unique stuff that requires maybe embroidery, sewing, so on and so forth. And also offering more sustainable options for other merchandise as well. While we do offer it for clothing right now, drinkware and so forth, it's very hard to come by organically sourced ceramic, um, and so that is something that we're actually looking into as well. And how can you guys help? Just raising awareness. Really, that's the hardest part of basically any business or any startup, is just gaining traction.
cool. I'll definitely have your links down below. So if everyone wants to check out Merchify, I'll have your social media, I'll have your website up so that people can check it out too. Of
Thank you, Gianna.
course. Anything else you want to share with us before we go, Alex?
No, just check us out. It's pretty straightforward. You can connect your Cardano wallet to our decentralized application, pick your favorite NFT, and merchify anything you want.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alex. This was really, really cool. And I think a lot of people in the Cardano space and beyond will like to check that out and maybe make merch out of their NFTs and create their own things out of them. But that's it for us today. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts. Feel free to share this with your friends if you enjoyed this content, and we'll see you next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye.